The mindfulness movement has gained more and more ground in the past years, and its techniques have become the epitome of meditation for the modern individual. While many people consider Jon Kabat-Zinn as the father of mindfulness, however, one of the first people to introduce mindfulness-like techniques in the West was undoubtedly Gurdjieff, the Armenian Greek mystic who has spread numerous Oriental techniques in America and Europe. A mystic that has influenced the modern thought and key personalities of our time, George Ivanovich Gurdjieff has brought to the Western civilization a plethora of concepts and techniques for men who desire to know themselves and the world in which we live. Not only philosophical ideas, but deep and complex understandings about the human body and psyche, about the solar system and the universe, meditation techniques, sacred dances and music. The first thing one finds when searching about mindfulness on the internet is this definition. Mindfulness is a type of meditation in which you focus on being intensely aware of what you're sensing and feeling in the moment, without interpretation or judgment. In more general words, mindfulness has to do with awareness of our own being, the body, the mind, and the emotions, while being present in the moment, irrespective of what you are doing. But let's see if this is so, and why Gurdjieff advised against it. Gurdjieff taught that man nowadays lives in a hypnotic sleep and is unable to perceive reality, being immersed in deep subjectivity about all and everything. The solution would be to wake up through the practice of various techniques and develop an all-around knowledge of oneself and the world. In respect to the mindfulness techniques, from the article on Wikipedia, we discover the following definition. Mindfulness is the practice of purposely bringing one's attention in the present moment without judgment, a skill one develops through meditation or other training. It is clearly understandable that mindfulness and meditation, like any other skill, require some degree of practice and becomes better and easier over time. Let's see how these practices are included in different paths to evolution. Describing the traditional paths to spiritual knowledge, Gurdjieff always considered the one-sided development of the body as the way of the fakir, the development of the emotions as the way of the monk, and the development of the mind as the way of the yogi. In this context, his teaching and practices were the fourth way, a simultaneous and balanced development of the three centers, the physical, the emotional, and the mental, amidst the daily life, and gave numerous exercises and techniques in order to do so, to be practiced by oneself, with others in a group, sitting or moving. The most well-known approaches to mindfulness include watching the breath, the body scan, awareness of the sounds around us, and others. About using the mind, Gurdjieff explains, all you need is to discriminate with your mind. I say that until now you have not been working like men, but there is a possibility to learn to work like men. Working like a man means that a man feels what he is doing and thinks why and for what he does it, how he is doing it now, how it had to be done yesterday and how today, how he would have to do it tomorrow, and how it is generally best to get it done, whether there is a better way. The name. Regarding the name mindfulness used to describe all these practices, it is certainly not a new word. The English term mindfulness already existed before it came to be used in a Western Buddhist context. It was first recorded as mindfulness in 1530. John Palsgrave translated it from French in 1561, but its final form, mindfulness, crystallized in 1817. Morphologically earlier terms include mindful, first recorded in 1340, mindfully 1382, and the obsolete mindiness around year 1200. According to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, mindfulness may also refer to a state of being aware. Synonyms for this state of being aware are wakefulness, attention, alertness, prudence, conscientiousness, awareness, consciousness, and observation. Sati and Samarthi. These similar terms, sati from Pali and samarthi from Sanskrit, both mean to remember, although sometimes translated as bear attention. Of course, like in any other translation, there are voices which give some connotations and other voices which give different connotations to these words. This common source of the term mindfulness, although it has to do with memory and remembrance, should not be reduced only to the memory of the mind. In Gurdjieff teaching, self-remembering plays a very important role, both as a concept and as a practical technique. Gurdjieff clearly advises, "It is impossible to remember oneself, and people do not remember because they wish to live by mind alone. Yet the store of attention in the mind, like the electric charge of a battery, is very small, and other parts of the body have no wish to remember." This is the first reason why Gurdjieff was so much against practices that only use one part of our being, just like the practices of breathing. He always considered man as a three-centered being, and advised his pupils to work with all the parts, not only with one. In the words of his most famous pupil, P.D.D. Ouspensky, "Try to remember and keep in your mind constantly all the lines on which you have to work. You have to work on mind, on consciousness, on emotions, and on will. Try to understand that each line of work needs special attention, special methods, and special understanding. After some time, all four will begin to help one another, and later they will merge into one. But in the beginning, the four lines must go separately." Jon Kabat-Zinn. The Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction MBSR program at the University of Massachusetts was founded in 1979 by Jon Kabat-Zinn, bringing together the practices for meditation and medicine in order to treat various conditions for both healthy and unhealthy individuals. He was inspired to do so mainly by his Buddhist meditation experiences, although many of the techniques used in mindfulness are to be found in numerous traditions, religions, and cultures. In Jon Kabat-Zinn's own words, the operational definition of mindfulness is as follows. Mindfulness is the awareness that arises from paying attention on purpose, in the present moment, non-judgmentally. The definition is made in such a way as to be understood by most of the people, yet is not accessible using only one's rational mind. However, we will try to take it word by word, as John has intended and explained, in order to understand it better. Awareness is to take into account different types of stimuli. Paying attention is observing, directing our conscious attention, focusing. On purpose means in intentional manner. The present moment means what we are actually doing. Non-judgmentally is without letting our judgmental thoughts affect our endeavor. Ouspensky. Gurdjieff's master pupil in respect to intellectual concepts, describes the lines of work of a human being, including more than just the mind and working from the mind. The four lines of work on oneself can be designated. Intellectual work means preparation. Work on consciousness can be having an aim. Work on emotions means energy. Work on will can be about control and also energy. Self-observation. See Daley King, one of Orridge's and Gurdjieff's most gifted pupils, explains in detail about the technique of self-observation, also used in mindfulness, but with different connotations in the teaching transmitted by Gurdjieff. The first step in consciousness is the technique of self-observation. Its purpose is to establish the state of self-consciousness in a gradual and normal manner. Self-consciousness is that state in which a man is fully and currently aware of the operations of his organic mechanism, that is, of his body. Self-observation is the means whereby the state of self-consciousness begins to be established, and it is evident at once that the activity of self-observation implies and presumes a definite dichotomy within the man's general presence. Self-observation presumes a real and valid distinction between the observer and the observed, between the being himself and his observed organism. To sum it up, The present technique is defined by the specific features below, and if any of them be omitted, then it is not the technique described. Self-observation is to be practiced without criticism, tutorialness, analysis, with non-identification, within the prescribed area, with all available sensory perceptions and confinement to no time or place. Next, we have characteristics of mindfulness. We can define, at this point, some of the basic characteristics of mindfulness. Moment-by-moment awareness of thoughts, feelings, bodily sensations, and surrounding environment. Acceptance without judgment. No ruminations on the past and future. A mode of being. But Gurdjieff advises against using only the mind. Until now, until today, the greater part of desire and striving was accidental, only in the mind. This means that the desire exists in the mind alone. So far, in the minds of those present there, arose accidentally a desire to attain something, to change something, but only in the mind. But nothing has changed in them yet. There is only this bare idea in the head, but each has remained as he was. Even if he works 10 years with his mind, if he studies day and night, remembers in his mind and strives, he will achieve nothing useful or real. Because in the mind there is nothing to change. When asked by a pupil about the practice of self-observation, Gurdjieff clearly makes the distinction between using only the mind for practice and using all the parts in one's being. That is, mind, body and feeling. Question. We feel that there may be something wrong in the way we are doing self-observation. Are we wrong, Mr. Gurdjieff? Answer.
Never you do self-observation,
he said forcefully.
You do mind observation. Mind observation you do. Can even make psychopath.
This difference between self-observation and mind observation is very, very relevant to the mindfulness approach, to which everything comes from the mind, and the mind should be involved in everything. Gurdjieff's teaching clearly is about the difference between man as a whole being and man composed of three parts. The three-centered being of which Gurdjieff speaks on almost every page in his magnum opus, Beelzebub's Tales to his grandson. Dances. Paradoxically, the most common practice in respect of the mind in the Gurdjieff teaching is the practice of movements, sacred dances. Dances are for the mind, Gurdjieff used to say. And let's see why this is so. Gurdjieff transmitted a series of sacred dances and moving exercises as a part of his teaching and work of self-observation and development. Gathered in his travels in the Central Asia, Tibet, the Orient and Africa, the sacred dances are more than just simple movements of the body and music. They contain knowledge and cosmic truths passed from generation to generation by initiates. The practice of these exercises, movements, and dances require a sustained inner attention and presence, and as such are one of the best practices for a balanced inner evolution of the body, the mind, and the emotions. Some fragments of these can be seen in Peter Brook's movie Meetings with Remarkable Men, based on Gurdjieff's autobiographical book. Whatever the conditions, Gurdjieff always emphasized on more than one part of ourselves active, and never just the mind. He hated all the various one-sided development practices and instead advised for a harmonious development of man.